My girlfriend left me for a better man her family proudly chose. Everyone smiled. Everyone approved. I didn't argue. I disappeared. Months later, when she heard my name mentioned in a room she wasn't invited to, she froze before anyone even looked at her. I'm 36 now, financially independent, and I've learned that the most powerful response to rejection isn't anger or pleading. It's strategic silence followed by undeniable success. I met her when I was 29. She was 26, came from old money, the kind where family names open doors before you even knock. I was working as a freelance consultant, building my own practice from scratch, making decent money, but nothing that would impress her social circle. We met at a gallery opening through a mutual acquaintance. She approached me first, actually. Said she liked that I was looking at the art instead of working the room. The first 18 months were everything you'd want. She was intelligent, had her own opinions, seemed genuinely uninterested in her family's wealth. We'd spend Saturdays at farmers markets, hiking trails, dive bars with live music. She never made me feel inadequate. When I met her family around month 8, I knew I was being evaluated, but I thought I'd passed when her father shook my hand and said I seemed grounded. Turned out, grounded was code for limited potential. Her family owned commercial real estate across 3 states. Her father had inherited a portfolio and tripled it. Her mother came from similar wealth, spent her time on non-profit boards and society committees. Her older sister had married a venture capitalist. Her younger brother was being groomed to take over the family business. Then there was me, self-employed consultant with clients but no firm, good income but no generational wealth, college educated but from a state school, not the private institutions they all attended. My parents were both teachers, comfortable middle class, proud of their work, but nobody who'd make it into their social register. The first year, they tolerated me. Polite conversations at family dinners, perfunctory questions about my work, no outright hostility, just a cool distance that never warmed, no matter how many times I showed up. Around month 20, things shifted. Her father started mentioning a family friend's son. Guy who'd gone to school with her brother, worked in finance, came from a similar background. He'd recently moved back to the area. You should reconnect with him, her father would say at dinners. He's doing very well for himself, managing a fund now. My girlfriend would change the subject, visibly uncomfortable. I'd pretend not to notice the subtext. The guy started appearing at family events. Always polite to me, never overtly competitive, but his presence was clearly orchestrated. Her parents would light up when he arrived. Her mother would find reasons to seat him next to my girlfriend at dinners. Her father would engage him in lengthy conversations about markets and opportunities, while I sat there with nothing to contribute. One night, after a particularly painful family dinner, where I'd essentially been ignored for 3 hours while this guy held court, I brought it up on the drive home. They're pushing him on you pretty hard. I know. It's embarrassing. I've told them to stop. Have you, though? Because it keeps happening. What do you want me to do? 'Cause a scene at family dinner? I want you to set a boundary. Tell them you're with me, and their matchmaking is disrespectful. I have told them that. They just don't listen. Then maybe you need to be louder. She went quiet. That was the first time I realized she might not fight as hard for us as I would. Over the next 6 months, the pressure intensified. Her family started making comments about my career trajectory. Still consulting? No interest in building something more permanent? Her mother would ask about my 5-year plan, my retirement strategy, my thoughts on investment properties. They weren't subtle. They were auditing me and finding me insufficient. My girlfriend started pulling away, canceled plans more frequently, took longer to respond to messages, seemed distracted when we were together. I knew what was happening, but couldn't figure out how to stop it. Then about 2.5 years into the relationship, she asked if we could talk. It was a Thursday evening. She came to my apartment instead of me going to hers, which should have been my first clue. My parents want to have a serious conversation with me this weekend. About us. About my future. Okay. What are you going to tell them? I don't know. They're going to push hard. They're going to make it about family loyalty and what's best for me. And what do you think is best for you? She didn't answer right away. Just looked at her hands, twisting her ring. Not an engagement ring, just something I'd given her for her birthday. I love you, she finally said, but I also love my family. And they've made it clear that continuing with you means problems with them. What kind of problems? They've threatened to restructure things, cut me out of certain trusts, reduce my role in family decisions. Basically make it clear that choosing you means choosing against them. I felt something cold settle in my chest. So they're blackmailing you. That's a harsh word, but accurate. They think they're protecting me. They think you're not stable enough, that you don't have the foundation to build the kind of life they want for me. The kind of life they want, not the kind you want. I don't know what I want anymore. I'm exhausted. I've been fighting them for months and it's not getting better. Every family event is a battle. Every conversation turns into a judgment of you, of us, of my choices. So you're giving up. I'm being realistic. I can't cut my family out of my life. They're everything I've ever known. And maybe they have a point. Maybe we're not compatible long term. I should have argued, should have fought harder. But in that moment, I just felt tired. If you're looking for permission to leave, you have it. I'm not going to beg you to choose me over your family. That's it? You're not going to fight for us? What's the point? You've already decided. You're just here to make it official. She started crying. Told me I was being cold, that she'd hoped I'd give her a reason to stand up to them, that she needed me to fight harder. I've been fighting, I said quietly. I've been showing up, being respectful, trying to prove I'm worthy, and none of it mattered. They decided I wasn't good enough 2 years ago. Nothing I do will change that. And if you need them to approve of me before you can commit to me, then we were never going to work. She left that night, texted me 2 days later that she'd talked to her family and decided to give the finance guy a chance. That it wasn't about choosing money over love. It was about choosing a life where she didn't have to fight her family every day. I didn't respond, just blocked her number and started planning my exit. Update 1. The first month after the breakup was mechanical. I went through the motions of my daily routine while planning something bigger. I'd been approached 6 months earlier by a former client about a partnership opportunity, building out a specialized consulting firm focused on operational efficiency for mid-size companies. I'd turned it down because I was comfortable and didn't want the stress of building something from scratch. Now, I had nothing but time and motivation. I called him back. The opportunity was still available. We met, discussed terms, agreed on equity split and roles. I liquidated some investments to put capital in. We launched within 3 weeks. The work was brutal, 18-hour days, weekends spent on client proposals, constant travel to meet potential clients. But it was exactly what I needed. No time to think about her or what I'd lost. Just pure focus on building something that would prove everyone wrong. 3 months in, we landed our first major client, a manufacturing company struggling with supply chain issues. I spent 6 weeks embedded with them, analyzing their systems, implementing new processes. The improvements were measurable and significant. They referred us to 2 other companies in their industry. By month 6, we had 8 clients and were hiring additional consultants. By month 9, we were profitable and turning away work because we couldn't scale fast enough. I stopped checking social media, stopped asking mutual friends about her, stopped caring what her family thought. Just worked. One of our consultants mentioned hearing that she'd gotten engaged to the finance guy. 6 months after leaving me, she was planning a wedding. I felt nothing. Just nodded and went back to reviewing a client proposal. Update 2. About 10 months after the breakup, we got approached by a private equity firm. They'd been tracking our growth, liked our model, wanted to discuss acquisition or investment. We met with them. They made an offer that would mean serious money, not generational wealth, but enough to change my life completely. My partner wanted to take it. I wanted to hold out, keep building. We compromised on an investment deal instead of acquisition. They got 30% equity, we kept control, and I got enough liquidity to never worry about money again. The deal closed right around the 1-year mark from the breakup. My parents cried when I told them the numbers. My dad, who'd taught high school history for 35 years, just kept shaking his head and saying he was proud of me. I bought a house. Nothing ostentatious, but nice. Good neighborhood, space for a home office, garage for the car I'd always wanted. I wasn't showing off, just finally living comfortably without stress. Around month 14, I got invited to speak at an industry conference. Someone had written a case study about our work with that first manufacturing client, and the conference organizers wanted me on a panel about operational transformation. The conference was in the same city where I'd lived with her, where her family was based. I almost declined, but my partner convinced me it was good exposure for the firm. I prepared my remarks, flew in 2 days early. The panel went better than expected. Afterward, several people approached me with questions, business cards, potential opportunities. I was in the middle of a conversation when someone called my name. It was an old acquaintance, someone I'd met through her, actually. Guy who'd been friendly enough but had clearly sided with her after the split. "I didn't know you'd be speaking here. How are you? What are you doing now?" I gave him the brief version. The firm, the growth, the PE investment. His expression changed as I talked, from casual interest to genuine surprise to something like respect. "That's incredible. I had no idea you were doing so well." "Not something I've been advertising." "Are you around tonight? There's a reception. You should come. Network with people." I hesitated, but agreed. The reception was at a hotel downtown. Industry people mixed with local business leaders. I worked the room, collected business cards, had productive conversations. Then I saw her family, her father, her brother, some people from their social circle, all dressed in expensive clothes, holding drinks, talking and laughing. They hadn't seen me yet. I watched her father talking to someone, that same dismissive confidence he'd always had, the certainty that his judgment was correct, his values supreme, his assessment of me accurate. I turned away before they could spot me, left through a side exit, sat in my car for 10 minutes just breathing. Update 3. I flew home the next morning, thought that was the end of it. But a week later, my partner forwarded me an email. Someone from that reception had recommended us for a major project. Regional Manufacturing Consortium needed a complete operational overhaul, budget in 7 figures. "This is the kind of client that makes a firm's reputation," my partner said. "But it's based in your ex's city. You okay with that?" I thought about it. Thought about seeing her family again, potentially running into her, all the old wounds. Then I thought about the opportunity, the challenge, the validation. "I'm okay with it. Let's pursue it." We put together a proposal, flew back for presentations, won the contract. I was going to be spending significant time in that city over the next year. About 2 months into the project, I was having dinner with the consortium's director, discussing progress, building rapport. He mentioned he was on the board of a local business organization that her father was also part of. "Small world," I said neutrally. "You know him?" "We've met. Long time ago." He's stepped back from active involvement lately. Family issues, I heard. His daughter's marriage is apparently not going well. I didn't ask for details, just made a non-committal sound and changed the subject. But it stayed with me. Not with satisfaction or vindication, just with a kind of distant curiosity. 2 weeks later, I was at a business lunch, networking event for local executives. I walked in, scanned the room, and froze. She was there, across the room, talking to someone. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her clothes were expensive, but she wore them like armor, not comfort. I started to leave, but the host saw me and called me over to his group, right near where she was standing. I couldn't avoid it without being obvious. So I walked over, joined the conversation, and pretended not to notice her 6 feet away. The host introduced me to his group, mentioned my firm, the Consortium Project. Someone asked questions about our growth strategy. I answered professionally, aware of her on the periphery of my vision. Then someone in her group mentioned looking for operational consulting. The host immediately jumped in. You should talk to him. His firm is doing incredible work. Very impressive growth trajectory. He gestured to me. Her group turned. She turned. Our eyes met for the first time in almost 2 years. Her face went completely pale. She opened her mouth, closed it, just stared. Someone in her group asked me a question. I answered it, professional and detached, gave them my card, continued the conversation like she wasn't there. She excused herself after about 2 minutes. I watched her walk away, saw her hands shaking slightly as she set down her drink. The host leaned in. Was that awkward? You two know each other? Used to. Long time ago. Ah. Well, her husband works in finance. Apparently doing quite well, though I heard they're having issues. None of my business. Of course not. But between us, her family had very specific expectations for that marriage, created pressure that might not have been sustainable. I nodded, extracted myself from the conversation, and left shortly after. Update 4, I didn't hear from her directly, but I started hearing through the network that she'd been asking about me, asking mutual acquaintances what I was doing, how I was, if I was seeing anyone. One friend called me directly. She wants your number, said she'd like to talk. What should I tell her? Tell her nothing. Don't give her my number. She seems really insistent, said she needs closure or something. She got her closure 2 years ago when she chose her family over me. I'm not interested in revisiting that. The friend agreed and dropped it. But she kept trying. Showed up at another business event where she knew I'd be. Positioned herself near me, clearly hoping for interaction. I avoided her, stayed on the opposite side of the room, left early. Then about 4 months into the Consortium project, my partner got a call. Someone wanted to hire us for a family business consultation. When he looked into it, it was her family's real estate company. This feels like a setup, he said. The timing is too convenient. It probably is. What's the scope? Operational review of their property management systems. Good money, but given the history, turn it down, politely. Say we're at capacity with current projects. He did. We got a follow-up call from her father directly. My partner took it, listened to him try to sweeten the deal, then firmly declined, citing conflicts of interest. He wasn't happy, my partner told me. Tried to insist it was purely professional. When I held firm, he asked if your personal feelings were affecting business decisions. What did you say? That we don't take on clients where prior personal relationships could complicate the work. He hung up pretty quickly after that. About a week later, I got an email from her. Not to my personal address. She didn't have that. To my work email, which was public on our website. I know you don't want to hear from me. I understand why. But I need you to know that leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. I've spent 2 years in a marriage that looks perfect from the outside and is empty inside. I chose security over happiness, and I regret it every single day. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect a second chance. I just needed you to know that you were right about everything, and I was wrong about what mattered. I read it 3 times, felt a complicated mix of vindication and sadness and nothing at all. Then I deleted it and didn't respond. Update 5. She tried twice more to reach out, once through another mutual friend who I told firmly to stop passing messages. Once by showing up at a coffee shop near my hotel when I was in town for the Consortium project. I saw her come in, saw her spot me, got up and left before she could approach. She sent one final email after that. I get it. You've moved on. You've built everything I was too scared to believe in. I just wanted you to know that watching you succeed has been harder than losing you. Not because I begrudge your success, but because I finally understand what I gave up. I hope you're happy. You deserve it more than anyone." This time I responded. One line. "I hope you find whatever you're looking for, but you won't find it looking backward." Then I blocked her email address. The consortium project wrapped up successfully. We got 3 more referrals from it. My firm's reputation in that region solidified. We started getting approached for larger, more complex projects. About 6 months after that last email, I heard through the network that she'd filed for divorce, that her family was horrified, that the finance guy's family was threatening legal action over a prenup dispute. I felt nothing, just a distant acknowledgement that she was finally learning to stand up for herself, even if it was years too late and with the wrong person. My partner asked if I wanted to avoid that city for future projects given the history. No. Why would I? She's not relevant to my work or my life. If I see her at an event, I'll be polite and professional and move on. But I'm not going to limit my business because my ex-girlfriend lives somewhere. Fair enough. You seem like you've really moved past it. I have. The person I was when I was with her, who needed her family's approval, who thought I had to prove my worth to people who'd already decided I wasn't enough, that person doesn't exist anymore. I proved my worth to myself. That's all that matters. Final update. That was 8 months ago. The firm has continued growing. We now have 20 consultants across 3 offices. I've become a regular speaker at industry conferences. My parents joke that they need to schedule appointments to see me because I'm always traveling. I'm seeing someone now. Met her through work, actually. She's a CFO for one of our clients. Smart, independent, came from a working-class background like me, and built her career through competence rather than connections. We've been dating for 4 months. It's easy in a way my previous relationship never was. No performance, no evaluation, no trying to prove I'm worthy. Just 2 people who respect each other's work and enjoy each other's company. I was at another conference last month, giving a keynote this time, not just a panel. The room was packed. After my talk, during Q&A, someone asked about overcoming early career obstacles. I told the truth. I spent years with someone whose family didn't think I was good enough. It stung. It made me question my worth. But ultimately it motivated me to build something that proved them wrong. Not for them, I don't care what they think now, but for myself. To prove that their metrics for measuring value were fundamentally flawed. The audience responded well. After the session, several people approached me with similar stories. Felt validating in a way that had nothing to do with her or her family. I heard later that she was in the audience, that she'd bought a ticket specifically to hear me speak, that she'd cried during my talk and left immediately after without approaching me. A mutual friend told me all this, then asked if I wanted to know how she was doing now. No, I genuinely don't. I hope she's figuring herself out. I hope she's learning to make choices based on what she wants, rather than what others want for her. But her journey isn't connected to mine anymore. She apparently tells people that losing you changed her, that she's a different person now because of the mistake she made. Maybe she is, but I'm a different person too, because of the choice I made. The choice to walk away with dignity instead of begging, to build something meaningful instead of dwelling on rejection, to prove my worth to myself instead of seeking external validation. The friend nodded. For what it's worth, I think you handled it perfectly. You didn't get bitter, you got better. I shrugged. I got busy. The getting better was just a side effect. My current girlfriend knows the whole story. I told her early on, not as a warning but as context. She appreciated the honesty. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if she'd chosen you? She asked once. Sometimes, but honestly, I think we would have struggled. Her family's pressure wouldn't have stopped. She wasn't strong enough to fully separate from their influence. Eventually, that weakness would have shown up in other ways. I loved who I thought she was, but I was wrong about who she actually was. And now? Now I'm with someone who chose her own path despite pressure, who built her career on merit, who doesn't need anyone's approval to validate her choices. That's the difference. She kissed me. Good answer. I still work in that city sometimes, still see people from her social circle at events. Her family's name still comes up in business contexts. I'm always professional, always cordial, never personal. Last month, her father was at an event where I was speaking. He stayed for my entire presentation, approached me afterward. Impressive work, very impressive. I may have misjudged your potential. I looked at him. This man who'd dismissed me, who'd orchestrated my replacement, who'd pressured his daughter into choosing their approval over her happiness. I appreciate you saying that. But your judgment doesn't define me. It never did. His expression tightened. He nodded once and walked away. I watched him go and felt absolutely nothing. No vindication, no anger, no need for his approval. Just complete indifference. That's when I knew I'd truly moved on. Not when I stopped thinking about her. Not when I succeeded professionally. But when the people who dismissed me became irrelevant to my sense of self-worth. She chose security and approval. I chose dignity and autonomy. We both live with those choices now. The difference is I'd make mine again without hesitation. And from what I hear, she's still wondering if hers was worth it.